Frank Horrigan versus Adam Smasher, men forged into killing units after freak accidents. One exposed to FEV, a man turned mutant crafted into a super soldier, the other blown to bits and salvaged and almost entirely borged. Each served as the strongest goon for the Enclave and Arasaka respectively. Adam Smasher was a typical New York City punk turned military, then contract killer, becoming one of the most successful men in New York until rocket launchers eviscerated him, leaving him with no other option but to die or go full Borg and work as the head bodyguard at Arasaka Corporation. Something he took without hesitation, this left him in an almost non-human state, letting him thrive in the underground world of cyberpunk, trafficking guns, drugs, and sex, making enemies with some of the most dangerous men in the verse. In his current heavily modified Dragoon body, he's considered the most deadly weapon any army can wield. Past model feats will supplement. Standing 8 feet tall and built completely on cyberware, his body houses a myriad of weapons, a guided missile barrage system firing 8 Hydra 70 rockets capable of destroying small buildings, and on each arm 2 miniguns firing 12.7mm rounds in rapid succession. Ammo used in the M2 Browning and Barrett, capable of piercing heavily armored vehicles, and a single-shot railgun. The only gun he carries are the Bajing Helix shotgun you find in his locker. It fires 8 smart projectiles tracking enemies with an 8-foot explosion radius, tearing through every enemy you encounter, and a Militech MK31 HMG. He also has a very particular fighting style as seen in game and you read about, designed for full Borgs, using his size and speed to blitz and overwhelm opponents. For example, someone like David survived the impact of 2 APCs going full speed, colliding into each other, being totally fine but torn apart piece by piece, really displaying Adam Smasher's raw strength, and Johnny just got destroyed immediately, so... His durability comes from a titanium alloy shell, impervious to all small arms and most heavy weapons, as seen with the Cyber Psycho fighting the police, or shown when Smasher tanks a 40mm grenade point blank, falling 9 stories, running back up and punching the head of the man who did it off. Even in a situation of harm, he has complete control of his pain levels, with his suit allowing him to scan people and environments in combat, making total destruction necessary. With Edgerunners giving him that oomph and durability after fighting David, a man capable of throwing multiple armored trucks and destroying Militech tanks and APCs, even to the extent of pulverizing men and rock to nothing. But within their fight, David did this as a final attempt and did nothing to Adam, same with everything he attempted, even with the suitcase nuke at Arasaka Tower being 0.5 kilotons of TNT and resulting in the death of upwards of 100,000 people. Adam Smasher was caught in the radius, survived, and rebuilt, turning into what we eventually saw. For his speed, because Adam Smasher lives in so many different mediums, games, shows, books, and rulebooks, you see a lot of varying representations, but in all of them, he's the peak of what you can be.
Who's that? Who's that?
He can blitz your car while you're trying to speed away or jump from car to car, with him and other Borgs being bullet timers, those higher end feats coming from Neuralware enhancements. A group attack used to massively increase speed and reaction time through devices like the Sandevistan. This overclocks the nervous system to an extent that the brain processes sensory information so quickly it makes everything else seem to move in slow motion. This allows lower tier users to dodge and deflect volleys of close range rounds and rockets, with Smasher having one of the best tiers of Sandevistan obtainable. We've seen the gaps in speed this can cause between people, putting him in that highest tier. And he also has one of the most impressive records by the time you clash in game, second to none except maybe yourself and Morgan Blackhand if you don't think the mobility and the nuke saved him from a full-on one-on-one. Frank Horrigan was born a normal man in post-war society, but better than most, working for the Enclave, the remnants of the United States government, eventually elevated to the personal bodyguard of the president, until going crazy, then sent into the waste where he's exposed to FEV. The forced evolutionary virus, a highly mutagenic virus that enhances the physical capabilities of its subject by continuously repairing the DNA and promoting growth, producing a theoretically superior specimen. The Enclave, not wanting to waste the potential, crafted him into the first mutant super soldier seen in Fallout. He was sent into the waste to rain terror on men, creature, and robots. When it comes to his weapons, he wields a massive prototype plasma gun in his right hand using microfusion cells, tiny self-contained nuclear reactors allowing 50 charges, firing in 3-round bursts, capable of turning enemies into green piles of goo. Taking the energy of 1/10 a ton of TNT, this weapon is unmatched in the Wasteland or even most normative guns in fiction, and having a 5-foot wrist-mounted blade on his left arm, his strength comes from his peak genes affected by FEV, then further tampered with by Enclave scientists, leading to a 12-foot tall cybernetic mutant with a strength far beyond the normal mutants, more akin to a behemoth. He's shown one-punching mutants, men, and deathclaws, blowing them up. After wiping out a vault full of a sentient variant, an animal in the waste practically unmatched in strength, he remains unmatched. Even someone like Knight Maximus in the Fallout show is shown throwing a 50-pound brick hundreds of feet. For his durability, grafted onto his skin is Advanced Power Armor Mark II, custom built for his massive biomechanical frame, made from a lightweight metal alloy reinforced with a ceramic casting. It does not have the same flaws the T-60 from the show suffers from. This makes him nigh invulnerable to most normal weapons in the waste like machine guns and missiles. He can even tank a YKB pulse rifle point blank, a gun in early prototype able to cut through a few feet of steel or completely vaporize man and beast. His suit also continually injects him with chems and other stabilizing agents, leaving him in a peak state at all times. With even just baseline mutants having a muscle mass of around 78% and being found with embedded 7.62, 44 Magnum Full Metal Jacket, and 223 Full Metal Jacket rounds. You can see the outcome of Frank with steroids, compounds, and modified strains of FEV all amalgamating into the monster he becomes. Now, how's that match up to Atom Smasher? Currently, just looking at the skill of the fighters in Cyberpunk, I think they blatantly have a higher ceiling. With a world and place like Night City having a culture around it and cybernetics for it, and with Atom beating out these highest tier dudes, Frank just isn't on that level of pure fighting skill, but this is probably the least important thing between them. Given the weaponry being a lot closer, at least for the nuclear-based weapons Frank uses, being much more advanced, with the boss plasma gun having much higher destructive ability than Atom Smasher's missiles or railgun, putting out large building levels of energy, and with enough hits, the heat it generates would cause structural damage. But that presups Frank can even hit Atom Smasher. I don't think so. The speed difference between these men is so massive that that itself basically settles who would win. Not even counting the Sandevistan, and yeah, that strength difference is pretty huge, but they won't fist fight, and if it gets to that point, Atom Smasher would just blitz him and one punch him. It's not much of a fight at the end of the day, guys. Thank you, like, subscribe, bye bye.